Great, we have a while loop there that will make sure our script will run all the time, specifically every 5 seconds. Now, inside this while loop, we want to check the time. So we're talking about a conditional. When we're talking about conditionals, we think about if and else. So while true, which is always true, and that means the script runs all the time, if, and start thinking about how we can check if time is between this and that. Well, first of all, we need to import the datetime module. So we have the datetime class inside the datetime module, which should be, so the datetime class from the datetime module. So import datetime class, maybe as dt. So this will be assigned the dt namespace. I'm doing this because this expression will be quite long, so it's good to have a short name there instead of doing datetime.datetime.now and etc. Instead we do dt.now. So we want to check the current time against 8 AM and 4 PM. Now the current time would look something like, let me open a Python shell here, and from datetime import datetime as dt and dt.now. So this is current time, the year, month, day, hour, minutes, seconds and milliseconds. Sorry, this is microseconds, not milliseconds. Now this current time is being generated automatically, and as you know, this is a spatial object. So it's not it's not a string or a number. So it's a datetime object. And what I'm trying to get here is that to compare this object against a datetime that we pass manually, and you see what I mean with passing manually. We need to compare this datetime object with a similar object. That would make sense. If you just pass, let's say, something like a tuple of 2016 and let's say 5 for month, 5 for day, and then 8, and then you compare this with let me call data.now. So let me compare this with this tuple 16 and 5, 8. You'll get an error. So what you have to do instead is you'd call date.now, so this object here, and then you create another object manually. So you call dt, which is the datetime class that we have imported earlier, just here, and then inside the bracket you pass the values. Let's say that, and let me pass 8, and this is saying false, so which means this value is not less than this. Let me check the time now again, and don't expect to get the same time as you did here, as you see. So now it's actually 9 PM, and if you're wondering why, is that I had to interrupt the video. So I had to pause the video around this time, and then I went back like 12 hours later. So now it's actually 9 PM in here, and my computer was sleeping during this time. So that's just that, if you were wondering why. That means this time is not less than this. So it's not earlier than this. If you do, for instance, is it greater than this, then you get true. Now in our case we need to check actually against 2 date times. So that would be something like dt, and you would pass 8 here, so 8 AM, and then here would be 16. So let's do that in our script instead of writing this in here. Yeah, if we are here, so if dt, and now I could pass here 2016 And this would probably work for this year, but it's not very sustainable. So what you want to do is work with variables instead of values. What I'm trying to say is that instead of passing 2016 in there, you can have Python generate a year on the fly for you. So dt.now.year, and that would return 2016. Actually, we can try that here. To now.year. Yeah. So this returns this value, which is a string. Type. Sorry, it's an integer. I meant to say an integer. So it's a number that the dt class reads it as the year. The year, and then dt.now, again, the month should also be a variable. Month, and then dt.now day. The only thing that we want to have fixed is the time, so 8. What we're trying to do is check if dt.now is greater than 8. So if it is greater than 8, that means we are in the working hours. And also, we want this to be less than 16. What you do is you just copy these, and I forgot the bracket here. Yep. So you copy that, paste it here, a bracket there, and say 16. And then you have a column there for the if statement. So if this is true, then you want to execute your other statements. So let's write something more informative. Working hours. Yeah, let me execute this now. Python website blocker. We've got an invalid syntax. I think I messed up the brackets in here. This is okay, but this one should be inside brackets. Yeah, this closes in here. This one closes there, and this should be fine now. Let me try again. And unorderable types, this is comparing against a tuple. Sorry about that. It's actually not a good idea to copy and paste things. So as a general rule in programming, you shouldn't copy and paste things. You should write them, because when you copy and paste things, you're prone to making errors, like I did here. Now I'm doing copying and pasting here for the sake of video recording, so this is probably more convenient for you, as it saves you time watching me to write the things down. So it's better to use your logic and just write things so that you focus on what you're doing. And yeah, I think this error was good that it came up, because now you know that it's good to write things, to write the code instead of pasting it. So we have dt here that creates a datetime object. This also creates a datetime object, and this one as well. So let me go again, execute, and nothing is happening. So actually the code is running, but we don't have this print statement executed. The reason to that is that now it's 9 p.m. in here, so we are not within the working hours. And that brings us to the point that if I'm interrupting this, if you want to print something when you are not in the working hours, you'd want to add an else statement in here. So say else print fun hours. Save. And yeah, what we have this for is, while true, check for this condition and do this if that condition is true. So print out working hours. Otherwise, if this condition is not true, so if it is false, as it was when I just executed this script, then print this statement in here. and then sleep for 5 seconds. So don't execute the loop for 5 seconds, and then go again and check the current time again against these two values. So yeah, now we are in our fun hours. So every 5 seconds we get fun hours there printed out. Great. Yeah, I think we have the structure of our script, but we don't want to just print out these strings. What we want is we want to modify this file. So if it's between 8 and 4 p.m., we want to add those 2 lines in there. Otherwise, we want to make sure those 2 lines are not there in the file. So it's quite a bit tricky to access that file and add these lines and check if these lines are there. But we'll crack that in the next lectures. So, see you there.